Okay, another Sunday morning, 30th of June. Hey, are we recording or not? What's going on here? You better be recording. Okay. So, anyway, so on today is Sunday the 30th of June 2024. I'm doing kind of a little book review series and um, kind of not being like a great critiquer of books. I don't know even know if that's a word. So I'm into these primitive shelters. I'm into teepees mainly, domes, wigwams, stuff like that, and it's just one of those things that over the last several decades, like 4 or 5 decades now, I've been into these things and find them to be great fun for me, and I see that other people find them to be pretty good too. On YouTube videos. So I located. I will tell you that first when I made my. Oh, here we go. When I made my first. When I made my first. When I made my first video. I mean my first video. When I made my first teepee, and I'll probably throw up a picture of that. A 12-foot teepee back in 1980-ish, 80, 79, 80, 81-ish. Anyway, I was doing a lot of research on how to make tents, and I found out that a teepee you could make a fire in, and I don't know, I had a Ben Hunt book or something on it, and I really ended up not there was not a lot of literature out on teepees at the time. And so I just searched and searched and searched, and I started reading books on what we call native hyphenated Americans, and not that there was America back then. Okay. By the way, a little side on that: Native American, the term actually happens around 1850, and it's about a bunch of white Americans calling themselves Native Americans who are against the onrush of immigrants from Europe. Okay, that they're native. They were born here. They're Native Americans. I mean, and at that time, all the locals, I will call locals, were Indians or Indians or savages or whatever the white people wanted to term them. Mainly white people. Okay, I mean, mainly European, Caucasian, whatever that extract of humanity is hyphenated now into. Well, it's funny because we got African hyphenated Americans, Latin hyphenated Americans, Asian hyphenated Americans, Native hyphenated Americans, but we got white people. I don't know why we don't have European hyphenated Americans, but that's the way it is. So I'm making fun of it. Yeah, I am. I'm making fun of it, but it's the way it is. So anyway, I found this book, but in a smaller paperback form. I finally found it in the Columbia State Library of South Carolina, and I went about reading it. And this was my TP Bible for all the way up until even this year. This just is just the way it was. And I decided that with Amazon, let me look. Well, there was one other book that I had run across maybe, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 years ago. And that was this book called Native American Architecture. Native American Architecture. This is a very comprehensive book. Teepees are but one chapter in it. Beautiful book. This is not a cheap book. Get it by far. If I were to get any one book, it would be this book. But so anyway, along the line, I this year decided to go Google Amazon and find out what books were for sale on teepees, and I found some. And I found this book, and I'm not going to go over these books. I'm just presenting them to say that there are more books out there on teepees than what Ben Hunt made or some of these other Indian craft book kind of things. Here's one. I don't know if this is going to show up or not very well on the screen. And this is written by Linda Holly, which in looking at different YouTube sites and different books, Linda Holly is referred to quite a bit. She goes into great detail of how to make. She's made thousands of teepees in her life. My Indian teepee book. Uh, when I Nomadic's Tipi out of Bend, Oregon, would send these books to you, or I believe when I ordered my last Tipi, I think there's probably a book in the box there too. I don't know. I haven't opened it up yet, but we'll find out. Here's another book I found on Amazon, and my point here is that I really wish that people that want to make teepees on YouTube video, actually they're not teepees, but there are many YouTube videos on legitimate teepees, um, whatever that may mean. Okay, because there's a lot, even among legitimate teepees, there are like lots of different kinds. Okay, each tribe, nation, group, band, whatever, really develop different ways of doing things on this. So I used to be hung up on one way, the Sioux teepee way, and there's really just a lot. And I used to also be hung up on it's got to be made out of canvas. It's got to be made out of canvas, or I never want to see a blue tarp. Well, I still don't like blue tarps, but tarps, plastics, nylons. Boy, I'll tell you, if I had the money right now, which maybe one of these days, if I had the sewing ability now, maybe one of these days I'll make a camouflage nylon teepee. That would be cool looking, I think. Okay, and then the last little book that I got, Simple Shelters, that I ordered on Amazon. It does have a chapter on teepees. Does have chapters on yurts and things, and like that big Native American architecture, it covers a lot of different kinds of shelters, including shelters that are not from North America, which, if there was one continent one time that split apart, some people ended up on this end of the Bering Strait or Atlantic Ocean, however you look at that. There are people in Asia, in Finland, northern Finland, Norway, Lapland, in the Siberia part. There are people that do make conical shelters, and then we have the Inuit up from Greenland across Canada to Alaska and stuff, and they made conical shelters also. So anyway, conicals, if you want to get into conicals, hey, do it. And if you want to do a little bit of history on the different tribes and the different things about teepees, I highly recommend it. I will say that on one situation about teepees in the plains, is that if you go back 500 years, teepees were small. The beast of burden was a dog, and when the horses came along mainly from the Spanish, 100 or 200 years later, 300 years ago, 1700s, 1700s, then the teepees got larger. And when the rifles and guns from the French, mainly from the east, met the horse all in the plains, that culture developed fascinating cultures, because there's a lot of them. And get into it, look into it. Thank you very much for spending a teepee moment with me. Bye bye.